knockoffs, fakes, scams, if you will. The toy industry is loaded with them. What do I think about that? So this is a topic with some nuance, if we're going to be completely honest here. Knockoffs are everywhere, okay? And they span from the absolute scam to the actual good toy. And this is why it gets a little difficult to say how I feel one way or another about it. We all like deals. If I could find a McFarlane toy, a Marvel Legends, a Gundam, a Motu for less cost than what I normally have to pay, I'm all for it. I'm on board, I'm ready. We all like a deal. And that sometimes pushes us to the knockoffs. And some of these have gotten very good. Like, to the point where it's hard to tell the difference. Look at some of the Marvel Legends that are out there that are knockoffs. Look at CT toys where people are almost starting to buy them over some of the Marvel Legends and even some of the import Wolverine figures that I've seen where people are not buying the $80 import Wolverine figure, they're buying the import knockoff Wolverine figure, but for like $15. I saw an Iron Man not way too long ago that was $8 that was probably better than any Iron Man I'd ever seen. Hey, you got to keep in mind that this is a hobby and it costs money. And as such, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I going to pay $100 for a set of 2 turtles with one head, like not swap heads or anything like that, some hands, swords that look like the movies, $200 across? Or could I pay $40 or $50 for a set of all 4 and put them on the shelf? I did. Does that mean I condone it? Yes and no. There are some things here, and I'll even call myself out for it, okay? I'll even call myself out for it. There are some things here that I feel are a negative for the entirety of the industry, for the hobby in general. If you have the ability to buy that Grey Hulk, that Iron Man, that Super Skrull, that Power Princess, that Super Adaptoid, that Thing, that Invisible Woman, these Spider-Men, you owe it to yourself to buy it firsthand before anything else. You owe it to yourself and the industry and the hobby to buy from the actual developer. Now, there are some caveats to this. Okay? If you can find the thing in a store and you could buy it, good. That shows the numbers go up. That sells the figure. That puts money back into the industry. And then the industry sells more toys to us. And hopefully that transaction moves forward without problem. But if these things disappear, okay? If you find yourself wanting the Walmart Venom, if you find yourself wanting the Walmart Carnage, and they are literally impossible to get firsthand. The only thing available at this point is the secondhand market. And if the knockoff is solid, I'd buy the knockoff. Here's the thing. I want to support these lines. I absolutely do. But once you go into the secondary market, okay, some of the prices are unrealistically exaggerated for stuff that is available. I don't want to support some guy's secondhand business where he buys figures off the Target shelf and then tries to sell them back to me for triple their value. No, he can sit on those boxes forever until he realizes that while I'm not completely heartless on this matter, if he happens to have bought 2 or 3 of them for whatever reason, I don't know why, asking for an extra $10, $20 on top of the normal asking price, up to maybe double of the figure's original value, depending on the circumstance, I'm not sure I'm mad about it. I have been known to buy figures that are in the $20 bracket for $40 if there's something I definitely wanted and I want the original and it has moved to the secondary market and it's not too overpriced, it's about in an area where I'm willing to pay. I've been known to go ahead and do that. That being said, I don't think that this is a good practice to be going out and buying like 3 or 4 of the same figures so that you can like sell them. If that is your business, if you go to conventions and you sell toys and whatnot, even that's up for debate because a lot of times they are not exuberantly priced. Case in point, I did a video not way too long ago where I picked up a whole bunch of stuff at a con. I got a Spider-Man, which was $40. That's only about $15 above the price that he was originally supposed to be at because he's like, what, a $25 figure or something like that? Okay, it's a little, but whatever. Some of them were only $35 there. Some were $30 there. Some were easily in the $20 category. One was $80. But since it's probably a $60 pack, I only paid $20 above the normal mark. I bought it at a convention. The convention also gave me something to do that day. So this is getting a little complicated. But look, if I buy up a whole bunch of figures, or I have a supplier that I buy from, and I'm basically a toy store that travels around, okay, I go to a convention, you come to the convention, you have yourself a soda, you walk around, you talk to people that are like-minded, you hang out with the vendors, you check out toys that you're never going to buy, toys that you'd love to buy, toys that you will buy, you walk down memory lane, you hit up the nostalgia. It's a function. I find that buying a figure in these settings is part of the service that they're offering. So when the figure is a little bit above the Amazon price, or a little bit above the normal MSRP, it actually doesn't bother me. And how was I going to find that figure to begin with? I found a couple of figures that I was trying to find from Target that I could not order to ship to me. A couple figures that I was trying to get from Walmart, like the Venom. I got the Venom from a con, and I paid $50 for that Venom, double his price. Does that suck? A little bit. But I also don't think it bothered me. Because one, it was at a con setting. I was enjoying myself for what it was worth. I walked around, I checked out a bunch of tables, I had some conversations, I burned about 3 hours. Hey, I spent 3 hours being horrifically bored. I would pay $50 to escape the boredom. So, like, it doesn't bother me as bad. That, to me, is a service vendor. It's an actual business. A guy that buys 7 things off the Target shelf to create scarcity to sell it back to you at 3, 4, 5 times its volume, screw him. He could sit on that product forever, and I will buy the knockoff. Do I not have the original? That's fine. That's fine. Because also, as I've argued before, this is my collection. not your collection. You don't collect like me, I don't collect like you, and we don't necessarily collect for the same reasons. For me, this back here is a personal museum to everything that I am and love. All the things that I like, why I like them, why something speaks to me. It could be something as mild as I almost today bought the Horde Invasion pack for the Origins Motu. The reason I almost bought it is because the Grizzlor character in that pack looks like Yag Kasha. He reminded me of Conan the Barbarian Tower of the Elephant. That is the only reason I almost bought it. I'll be honest with you, I'm sitting right here almost feeling like I wish I would have bought it. I did not, but I picked it up and I took a hard look because the idea of like setting up a scene like that, taking him and using, I'd probably use Wundar, Origin Wundar, and I'd set something up, and I'd put him in the chain things or whatever, and I'd put the Grizzlor that looks like Yag Kasha in the corner, like, oh man, and then I'd have him kind of approaching slowly, because like, man, Tower of the Elephant is amazing, okay? Like, it's one of the coolest, most amazing stories ever told in Conan. And so, like, that really appeals to me. See, that speaks to me. It doesn't speak to me because it's Motu. It doesn't speak to me because it's Origins. It doesn't speak to me because it's something really cool that's based on, like, concept art. It doesn't speak to me because it's He-Man. None of that factored in at all. Sometimes something is just really cool, and it sparks a memory inside of me that takes me back to a moment that somehow influences me and is important to me. And that, I put my money down. Psh, give it to me. So since I'm buying memories, sometimes it doesn't matter where I get them from. Now allow me to call myself out here. I bought those 4 movie turtles. They are knockoffs. Blatant knockoffs. And I knew when I bought them they were knockoffs. That was a very popular video on this channel for some reason. People constantly telling me I could tell they're knockoffs. You can't tell they're knockoffs. I said at the beginning of that video, I went on Walmart. I was unaware at the time, because I do not shop on Walmart, okay? If you shop on Walmart all the time and you know everything about it, that's fine. That's your life. That's not my life. I do not shop on Walmart online. I didn't start shopping online until very recently. I have a video on this channel that talks about it. What ended up happening was I found 4 turtles. They said they were NECA. They said they were Nickelodeon. The pictures looked promising, but at the same time gave me a thought process that made me say, I wonder. And they were all a reasonable price. All 4 of them, it was like for $80. And I said, heck, right now, they want me to pay $100 for these 2-packs. I don't need anything special. I just want the movie turtles on the shelf. Click. It was shortly after I clicked the button. I mean, very, very shortly after. Like probably 10, 20 minutes after I clicked the button, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, where are these things coming from? So I look it back up. I look my order back up. I scan down. I start reading all the descriptions and everything, and I'm like, these are knockoffs. They're fake. They're fake, without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Maybe by some miracle, I just bought real things that were like in a warehouse that were from basically like overstocked supply or something like that, or damaged crates. Maybe, but I seriously doubt it. These are fake. I knew that going in. Why didn't I cancel the order? YouTube. See, YouTube is my hobby. I like to share this with you and get communication back and forth about it. I love this. I don't really have anybody to share it with. YouTube is a global community. I can share my ideas about toys and collections and things like that with you. And then for the most part, a lot of people will come back at me with, I think about this and this is how I see it and blah, blah, blah. And that's cool. That's what I love about this. It's why I made YouTube my hobby. So look, all of that, okay? I did not cancel those turtles because I wanted to see. I wanted a video on the channel specifically talking about the quality of a knockoff. Maybe the video was slightly misleading because I did tell the story and I said, I want to see if these are knockoffs. And if they are knockoffs, I want to see if they'll sit on the shelf and be awesome turtles. And for what it's worth, nobody that has come over as of yet, not one person that has ever walked in this room has looked at them and not just said, hey, those are movie turtles. Those are cool. End of story. Guess what? I got what I wanted out of it. They're solid turtles. I could take some photography with them. They look very good. Their paint job is very solid. Surprisingly enough, without the reference in my hands, I don't see a difference. Now, I'm sure that if I was holding a NECA in this hand and holding the knockoff in this hand, I would say, this is better. I've no doubt about that. But for me, on the shelf, filling the space I wanted it to fill, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie thing, because I still find it the best comic book movie ever made, I wanted that on my shelf. To call myself out, I should have the actual NECA on the shelf because I said that I want to support the industry. But I'll say this, the most recent NECA that was released they no longer have those faces, and I don't actually want them because they kind of looked a little awkward to me the last time, and I didn't want those faces on those turtles. And honestly, the paint scheme doesn't exactly make me say that it's that much better or different than those. So now that I already have them on the shelf, it's a hard buy for me to go out and buy the other ones to put on the shelf because that's money spent, and I've already spent the money and I already have it on the shelf and they've already done exactly what I wanted them to do. Now that being said, one thing I did buy a long while ago was I thought I was buying a Play Arts Kai. Gray Fox. I thought I'd found a good deal. I did not. I bought a fake Play Arts Kai, and it was noticeable after I got it home. Not noticeable to anybody that's ever picked it up, but when I got to looking at the box, I was like, that's not the Play Arts Kai logo. And when I got him out and started kind of messing with him, I was like, he's fine. He looks great. He'll be a really cool statue thing on the shelf, but he's not right. That, I wish I would have bought the actual Play Arts Kai. But then, I bought a Wonder Woman Play Arts Kai, and she was actually kind of bad. And I've honestly said time and time again that I actually think that Play Arts Kai is not worth the money they charge you, personally. And yes, I have a decent amount of experience with them. I've bought about 7 figures Play Arts Kai. And I don't really get excited or buy any of them past that point. Maybe they've gotten a lot better. It's very possible. If the figure is no longer available, like McFarlane will not make that Wonder Woman, he will not put her back out for me to buy. If I could find a knockoff that was basically exactly what I wanted, I would buy it. If they don't offer you the opportunity to buy it, and you don't want to pay the $180-something off the secondary market, I don't see what's wrong with buying the knockoff. But I will say that if we perpetuate this idea of buying knockoff figures, these figures will raise in price and they will go away. And once these go away, those companies that are using molds to create the knockoffs, they're also going to go away. We could quite literally remove our future Wolverines by buying fake Wolverines. It's a real thing. That's not even close to being a fake thing. That's a very real thing. And while some of these knockoffs, they have an interesting aftermarket like history, those were imitation knockoffs that got really popular. Not like, hey, here's Wondar, but he's not Wondar. He's just a He-Man that I painted, and I'm calling him Wondar, and I'm going to sell him to you for $20. That doesn't put the history on your shelf. It doesn't interest an honest toy collector. Like, we have no use for that guy. It would be cool to have one on the shelf, I guess, but we would also feel like we were lying to ourselves about what that was. Until the main company offered a chance to have him on your shelf. Now, customizers, that's a different hobby altogether. You buy cannon fodder to create what you want. Oh, I like that guy's coat. Buy that figure because I want to make my own Gambit. That's a different argument altogether. And it's a different hobby all in its own right. And if you buy customs, that's a different kind of hobby all in its own right, and it's 100% second market driven, but most of the time, those figures that are creating the second market customs, they're coming from this, first market buys. It's a complicated issue to say whether or not it's a good idea to buy things like CT toys. Personally, I feel like if the Wolverine is on the market and available, and he's not overpriced and you're not priced out, buying him at $15 instead of buying him at $35 or $40 or $50 because he actually costs $50, but you found him for $15 is a knockoff, and he's every bit as good on your shelf, and you're going to save that money. In the short term, I get that argument. In the long term, Kick-Ass 2. Guys, I loved the first and second movie, but hearing interview after interview after interview after interview that the reason the third movie wasn't made was because Kick-Ass 2 was the most pirated movie in history at the time, and that the company saw no reason to go forward and make the third, because what are you going to do? Why? Why would you do it? Like, so that everybody can get it for free? Nothing is free. Our hobbies cost money. Everything costs money. We live, that is the kind of social structure that we live in, period. Everything costs. It may not be fun sometimes, and it may be a pain sometimes, and it may be a harsh reality at other times, but it is what it is. Because of that, when you do things like the victimless crime, you pirate a thing, I get where that thought process is. You just want to see it. You just want to read it. But if there's an official way to support the media, you need to. If you wanted to watch Batman 66, and for years there was no way to do it, pirate that show. If they refuse to give you a way to buy it, to support the industry that you love, that you hobbyize, that's my new word, by the way, that's a hobbyize. If they won't offer you the chance to do it, find other means. Buy the knockoffs, get the burned DVDs, torrent the show. That's their problem, and they're not making money from it either. By the way, I understand that, and I get it. There's this whole debate about whether or not that's okay, but like, if they're not going to offer you some way to watch it or to experience it or to buy it or to support it, then they're not making money off of it either. And I kind of have this argument also with video games, not necessarily in terms of video game preservation, but it would be cool if there was a video game library. every video game, every digital file of every game that ever existed on a digital library that anybody at any time could just go check out. You could go see it. You could see the history of it, play the game a little bit, kind of understand where all the history of it came from. Now, if there was a blocking system to that library where I want to play Chrono Trigger. No. Chrono Trigger is available in hundreds of ways by now. Not hundreds, but you get the idea. You can just go get it. I want to play Sudekin 1 and Sudekin 2. Well, guess what? There's a remastery of that on the market. So maybe the law would block that part and say, yes, there is an original PlayStation 1 game, but there's another way to currently play it right now. And as long as that way is on the market, this is blocked for further inspection. So there's some sort of thing where the companies can say, hey, we have that game currently on the market. It is not allowed to be viewed through the library. You know what? That system, I think, is solid. Who is profiting from the Nightmare on Elm Street NES game? Who? Where? Why? Aside from collectors and people that are selling to direct collectors, nobody profits from that anymore. So why is it not just a free thing that you can obtain? And I get all this licensing and everything else. People want to hang on to their stuff. I think our licensing system needs to have a major, major overhaul. Major overhaul. I understand getting paid for your works. And I understand royalties. I believe in royalties. You create a thing, you should be making money. If you were responsible for being an actor that was in something like Star Wars, like Carrie Fisher got robbed, I don't care that she was offered the choice and she made the choice of her own accord. Once they realized that she was getting screwed by that deal, they should have come back out of their own integrity, if nothing else, and fixed it. They should have re-altered her contract, and she should have been able to, if nothing else, she should have been allowed to buy into royalty rights. Hey, we gave you this much money to sell off the royalty rights. At this point, those royalty rights have cost you about this much money. Due to interest, we gave you I'm just going to make a random number. We gave you a $19,000 contract. We want you to pay us $27,000, and we will put you back on the 1% royalty right mark from everything that you've been. There's no reason that people that were in things like Power Rangers that became national icons should not be making continual money. Dun, 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 dun. They are the face that built the product. Royalties, I believe in. And so I believe in things like that for stuff like this video game thing as well. But if it's not available, who are you hurting? And I could say the same thing, bringing us all the way back around a big ranting circle about toys. If you can't buy it, like that Wonder Woman is like $180 or something like that. A McFarlane toy figure is $180. A current, released just last year, should easily be available on the store shelves figure, costs $180. Buy the knockoff. She's not worth that. And in all honesty, I would rather watch this hobby, which has, since the pandemic, this hobby has done this. It has skyrocketed because so many people were like digging into their nostalgia and whatnot while they were sitting at home, and they were getting into things that they could do, and they started buying toys. Then all of a sudden, everybody was like, this hobby blew up. It felt like overnight, all these people came out of the woodworks that had nothing to do with this hobby ever, and now they're all in here, and now people saw dollar signs and toys that were released recent, like toys that came out in the last year, are sitting on the aftermarket for outlandish prices that match the same toy prices that you would have to pay to buy something that literally hasn't seen market since the 80s. They are matching those values now in real time. At that point, buy the knockoff. Buy the knockoff until the hobby and the aftermarket basically get beat back into submission. I am 100% for you making money. I have a lot of figures myself that I have bagged up and ready to sell. A whole bunch of figures that are ready for me to put on market and start selling. But I believe in fair pricing. It's loose. That's 70%. That's down to 70% of the normal mark right off the bat. And on top of that, you got to consider where it came from, what it used to be worth, what it might be worth right now. So personally, this figure, you can't get it anymore. It is part of the McFarlane line. I personally feel like it's about, right now, it's at 2 times its original value. That's probably 1.7 times its actual value because it's loose. I feel like that's fair. I feel like somebody might actually buy that, and I still feel like I would be underpriced to some of the prices that exist in the aftermarket that we are currently dealing with that makes this conversation very relevant. Because the aftermarket the aftermarket and the main market, because toy prices are doing this while our paychecks are doing this. Like, they're not going up. Here's our paycheck, here's the toy market. Hey guys, we had to increase prices. 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 I can't buy anymore. Some of these figures are reaching real price gouging that makes it impossible for us to go in there. So I get it. That is my full, untapped rant as to what I feel about the knockoff market. I think I've said enough to get my point across. I could probably have this conversation for another 20 minutes. But I'm going to cut us because we're at a half an hour. That's enough for a video. I'm going to get out of here. Let me know what you think.